for a burglar is age 16.
Wow.
And the peak age for violent behavior is age 18. And then from there, it slides down very quickly.
That story, I just got, his motivation was anger, right? So using it in a productive way, but how to enroll your neighbors. Well, here we are in Las Vegas. It's really a very unique city.
Yes, it is.
Because it's so transient. People are always coming and going. And a lot of people don't know their neighbors.
If you look at the people that are shooting, the shooters, the violent kids, go back and look at the family. We're not even talking about that yet.
No.
And I'm going, please people, we are not addressing the issue. If we don't empower our parents, we'll never solve this.
Stephanie, please introduce yourself, your organization, and your mission.
Well, I'm a crime and violence prevention consultant, and I've been one for 40 years, which is a long time, so I've learned a lot. I have an organization called Safe Kids Now National Network at safekidsnow.com, and I'm the author of maybe 5 publications. The latest one is Empowerment Parenting, How to Raise Resilient Children to Become Happy, Self-Reliant Adults. So my particular mission is to empower families and to strengthen our neighborhoods, because our children are growing up in neighborhoods and they need to be much stronger and much more cohesive.
Excellent. So can you tell me about the power of prevention and why it's so important, why it's almost the key to a child's life?
As you know, we are a reactive society. We have a crime, everybody reacts. We want to fix things. When basically, if we don't talk about prevention, we're in big trouble, because you can't just keep reacting. You have to think about, how do we prevent the problems from happening? And there are 2 things you can do. Number 1, you can empower your children. That means, and that's why I wrote Empowerment Parenting, because children are spiritual beings, and I'm not talking about church, I'm talking about we're all born with an incredible spirit. And we're not telling our kids that. We now spend $220 million a day on child abuse and neglect. That is unacceptable. I don't think anything gets me more upset than to hear statistics about children that are being abused. And I think it affects everybody. It's not just me. And now we really have to focus in on, how do we stop this? Actually, spiritual ignorance is killing our children. And when I say that, I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about the tools they already have within themselves. They already have a conscience, a self-protective conscience. They have instincts, they have imagination, they have intuition. They're already born with this. And that self-protective conscience, if you raise a child with that conscience, they're not going to go out and shoot anybody. They're not going to be mass killers. They're not going to commit suicide. They're going to value themselves. So as a result of working with, oh my goodness, thousands of children, neighbors, neighborhoods over 40 years, I've learned a tremendous amount.
Talk a little bit about yourself and just what changed in you growing up in a dysfunctional family. How did you find, your empowerment center, I guess you can say, or how did you find your spiritual core?
Well, as I said, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. I watched my brother being abused.
Wow.
I wasn't the victim of that. He was. My sister was away. They were 5 years older than I am. So I came along, and I was the baby. But when I was 15, we went down to Mexico, and I was abandoned in Mexico City by my mother and her boyfriend. And he was a Washington, D.C. politician,
Wow.
of all things. And it almost killed me. I want to tell you that the fear of loneliness hit me like a stack of bricks. All of a sudden, you don't speak the language. You're in a rented room. Nobody cares about you. And I didn't know what to do, where to go. They did enroll me in Mexico City College. I should have been a sophomore in high school. But I was in Mexico City College and taking 2 subjects, Spanish and art, because I was pretty good in art. And as a result of that, I had to turn to my higher power. So I had an invisible hand. My invisible hand reached up and I said, "Hang on to me. I'm dying here. I don't know what to do." But I was guided out of it. So I know what it's like to be neglected. I know what it's like to see abused children and how they feel. My brother ran away about 4 or 5 times. It's a very hard life you're giving your kids if you're not empowering them, because I know we all learn from bad things happening to us, and I learned how to bounce that off because I had a higher power to rely on. And when the Mexico City College counselors finally forced my mother to come back and get me because I became so sick. They thought I was leaving. I was dying. But it kills the spirit. It kills the heart. But I had that wonderful glimpse of being able to find that power within myself. And when I saw my mother, now you would think that after being abandoned like that you would just be angry. I saw her through totally different eyes. I saw her as someone that couldn't help herself. I saw her as weak. I saw her and she was an alcoholic. So give your children the eyes to see beyond. So that's how I got started.
Wow, amazing. You're such a strong woman. Wow.
Well,
Powerful.
yeah, you learn how to be strong. The worst thing you can do is be a helicopter parent. That is keeping your children weak